has experienced an incredible economic growth. This growth has largely influenced the lives in many Chinese spheres in society. But we have to wonder, has this modernization benefited women? Has their status changed economically, politically, and culturally? Now, let's take a look at Chinese women. This is Women at the Crossroads.
Since the middle of the 20th century, more efforts have been made to have more women on the workplace and to offer them better opportunities. The Communist Party first implemented the idea that women could be liberated by allowing them a greater place in the workplace. Since the 1922's Institutionalization of Education Act, the idea of the right to an equal education, whatever the gender, became the main subject of the act. Since then, the number of women registered in college went from 887 to 11 million. However, today, according to the United Nations Girls Education Initiative, less than 50% of girls who graduate from primary school complete secondary education. In China, girls suffer from the deeply rooted gender stratification system in Chinese society. The traditional point of view of women is the idea that even if a girl succeeds in her careers or studies, she still needs to keep in mind that she will marry and she will need to stay home and take care of the children at some point. Therefore, higher education for girls is more or less supported.
Now, I will be talking to Hu Qing, a Chinese woman who is an architect in a German company. Hello, miss. So what can you tell me about your experience in the workplace? Have you ever felt like you did not belong?
Well, I was once told by a female customer, you should do the most important thing in your life now, find a husband.
In order to comprehend the subsequent aspects that define the situation of gender equality in China, it is important to understand the role of Chinese women in their family first. Throughout Imperial China, notably under the Manchu rule, women were used as domestic asset for powerful families. The intention of this would be to exchange women between families as wives in a gesture of political influence, social class upgrading, and even loyalty treaties. The wife would then come into her new family with a dowry of which she could use a certain proportion. Throughout the rest of her life, the wife could advance in rank of power in the family to eventually become a sort of matriarchal leader. However, this sense of feminine power was only an illusion, as a woman's power was always bound to the limits of her home. But if we look at today, the situation turns out to be very similar. According to scholars Wen Yi and Qin Chun, the conjugal relationships in China and Taiwan show a disproportionate male dominance. However, marriages in China are moving closer towards Western marriage behaviors. For instance, Chinese men and women marry at an older age. The number of unmarried couples living together has increased, as well as the number of divorces. Scholars Wen Yin and Qin Chun conducted a study on the changing nature of conjugal relationships in China and Taiwan. By examining and collecting data on sample families, the study calculated certain power points gained by each gender of a couple based on different criteria evaluation. The results found that the marital structure is still disproportionately male-dominant in both China and Taiwan. Specifically, it was found that women would get an average of 49 dominance points, while men would get around 64. Despite the seemingly advancing of some old traditions, an unlikely new phenomenon has arisen. In fact, the creation of the Shengnu culture has had incredibly regressive impacts on Chinese women's representation. The word Shengnu literally means the remaining woman. This term is used to refer to mostly middle-aged women who have attained a high degree of education without being married. Similar to the ageist culture in the Western world, this phenomenon does not include men. It is exclusively centered on women. Mostly promoted by the media such as in TV shows and film, Shengnu has become a way of degrading women who have not married yet. As a consequence of this, many girls are being pressured out of postgraduate studies by fear of becoming Shengnus who will be undesirable by society and who will end their life alone. Like in many parts of the world, women are underrepresented in their country's political system. This is clearly the case for Chinese women. According to BBC, Chinese women are not tempted to try to access high-ranked jobs in the political sphere for many reasons. In fact, for people to occupy high-power positions in China, they must attend banquets and networks and participate in the social drinking of the baiju to attain higher positions in the party. Women in Chinese society contrast those conducts as they are expected to mostly stay at home and take care of the family. Since women are expected to act modestly, such kind of drinking would result in those women being frowned upon. Women who actually attain high-ranked positions in politics are often the result of an influential entourage rather than the actual skills they hold. Because of the enduring patriarchy in China, women hold a lack of self-confidence that forbids them from standing as strong candidates. For women trying to get involved in politics, in village government, things are no better. Even if women's representation in those governments increases, no significant change in gender relations within the Chinese population will be made since many people migrate out of China's rural areas. Their impact needs to be in national politics to create a real change. Moreover, the glass ceiling is also an issue for women in politics. Hao Jiangsu has been a full member of the Central Committee since 1977 and has been unable to move higher. In fact, the idea of strong independent woman is not in part of the popular culture. Young women tend to be more inspired by models and female celebrities rather than female politicians. However, girls do not lack the skills or interest for politics, but the Chinese policies and ideologies are unfriendly to women, having an impact in those areas. Generally speaking, China's fulgurant development has advanced countless aspects of Chinese life. Despite this increase, an important gap in gender equality still deeply affects women, preventing them from claiming the place they deserve. However, China's growth is exponential and suggests an optimistic future in which women's full potential will be used and will help propel China as one of the most powerful and fast developing countries in the world.